Emily in Paris sucks. I'm always on the hunt for a good TV show, and unfortunately, I've been left pretty disappointed lately. Most recently, with Emily in Paris, a Netflix original series that follows a 20-something American girl who moves to Paris for her marketing job. It stars Lily Collins in the title role and was created by the same people behind Sex and the City, although it actually feels like a forgettable version of Gossip Girl, Jane by Design, or Ugly Betty. I am this show's exact target demographic, and yet from the very first episode, I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it. But I'm a completionist, so I stuck through all 10 episodes. So, here are my thoughts on Emily in Paris after my one and only viewing. Just a warning, there will be some spoilers, so steer clear if that's something you're worried about. And if you couldn't tell from the title, this is going to be a pretty negative review, so if that isn't for you, just don't watch this video. Anyway, let's get into it. Emily is a mess. I like Lily Collins, I think she's a very sweet person, and I know that she actually has decent acting chops. But even she can't make this awful character better. Emily is one of the most insufferable characters I've seen in recent years. Maybe only slightly better than Sierra Burgess. If you're above a certain age and have lived in a major city, then you've met a version of Emily. She's the recent college grad with a communications degree starting a PR position at some company you've seen ads for on Instagram. When her friends from back home come to town, she brings them to 235th or Bar Petey. She spends her first paycheck on a ridiculously expensive bag that was popular 3 years ago, and then complains about not being able to afford to eat out for the next week. In the show, Emily moves to Paris after her boss is unable to go. But guess what? Emily can't speak a word of French.
Well, that's very unfortunate.
Excuse me?
That you don't speak French. It's a problem.
Well, I'm going to take a class, but je parle un peu français already.
De l'heure.
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 I don't think that's the account for you.
She spends the beginning of the series using a cell phone to translate, which we all know would never work, and spends 1 or 2 episodes going to a French class we never see again. She never winds up speaking more French by the end of the show, except for using a très here and there.
It's très important. Bonjour. I am très excitée to be here.
But that's not an issue, because she winds up meeting more and more characters that just so happen to speak perfect English.
Thank you. My lousy French gets me nowhere.
No, she's not nice to anyone.
You're nice and French, and you speak English?
It's things like this that reveal how ignorant and arrogant Emily is. And sadly, I don't think that was to make a clever point about her cultural dissonance. She spends most of the show trying to force the French to be more like her, instead of learning to adapt to her surroundings and learn from them.
So, you've come to teach the French some American tricks?
I'm sure we have a lot to learn from each other.
But your experience is not with fashion and luxury brands.
True. Most of my experience has been in promoting pharmaceuticals and geriatric care facilities. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm Emily Cooper, and I'm so excited to be here in Paris. I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you, and likewise having you get to know me. Your name, monsieur?
My name is Luke.
Yes, Luke.
Why are you shouting?
Sorry. Sylvie, it's Emily. Are we closed today, or is there a national holiday that I don't know about? Because I've been hanging around here for 2 hours, and
What are you doing?
I've been here since 8:30.
Pourquoi? We open at 10:30.
Ugh, this steak isn't cooked at all. Excuse me, pardon, monsieur?
The chef tells me the steak is correct.
Well, correct for him, but not correct for me.
I suggest you try it.
Maybe you suggest you cook it longer?
Yeah, I'll take yours.
No.
You take mine.
Come on, the customer is always right. Maybe I'll educate the chef a little bit about customer service.
You think you're gonna change the entire French culture by sending back a steak?
I don't take such a simplistic view of men and women. That's very American.
That's literally why I'm here, to bring an American point of view.
You're more like the prude police.
I'm just trying to imagine a social campaign that doesn't seem tone deaf to the cultural moment.
Look, you come to Paris. You walk into my office. You don't even bother to learn the language. You treat the city like it's your amusement park. And after a year of food, sex, wine, and maybe some culture, You'll go back from where you came.
As seen here when she lectures her coworkers about their work ethic.
Excuse me, what is this I just received from you?
Oh, it's just something I sent from the Chicago office. Our corporate commandments.
Oh, and you commanding us to do what?
Thou shalt always maintain a positive attitude. Thou shalt be on time. Thou shalt praise in public and criticize in private.
Thou shalt avoid workplace romances?
And thou shalt remember that we are all a team.
Thou shalt always maintain a positive attitude. Thou shalt avoid workplace romances. You told French people this? No wonder they hate you.
Oh, not just this. They disagree with everything I say.
That's the French way. They're very disagreeable.
Could you imagine if it was the other way around and a French character came to an American office and tried to make it more French? It'd be ridiculous. And honestly, Emily is just bad at her job. She almost loses a $2 million watch because she's too busy clubbing, and she becomes involved with a client. But of course, because she's the main character, it's not her fault. It's everybody else's. And since she continues to get away with everything, there's never any dramatic tension to help us become invested in her story. Even when she's fired, the other characters quickly explain that, oh no, she isn't really.
Sylvie just fired me.
Is that all?
We thought someone died.
Just my career.
No, it's impossible to fire someone in France.
What?
Oui, the bureaucracy takes months.
Years. Simply abandon your self-respect, come in once or twice a week to move papers around your desk, and don't make eye contact with Sylvie.
Ouais.
What are you doing here? Do I need to fire you again?
No. But I have outstanding clients, and until the paperwork is filed, I still have a duty to them and to Savoir.
Juliette, would you please bring me a copy of the paperwork so I can close this matter?
Mais oui, Sylvie.
Thank you.
At least if there'd been some kind of Devil Wears Prada-esque moment where she realizes that she needs to actually put some effort into her job, I'd be okay with this, but nope. By the end of the first season, Emily is in the exact same place she started. She doesn't learn a single thing, and it leaves you wondering what was the point of this entire show. Another thing I dislike about Emily is how she completely ignores social boundaries and norms.
Hey, don't post my tits.
I'm not.
Bucket Hat, wait. Stop calling me Bucket Hat!
I'm sorry. I can't remember your name.
Still friends?
At one point, she posts pictures of someone else's food on her Instagram and sleeps with the 17-year-old brother of her friend. Oh, and that same friend? Emily not only kisses her boyfriend, she also sleeps with him. But we're supposed to like Emily and think she's nice. Come on, make it make sense.
But I'm an agreeable person. People like me. That's my strength.
It almost seems as though the writers of the character didn't completely understand who she was. They constantly had her reference movies from the 2000s, but we never see the character actually watching a movie.
Oh my god, I feel like Nicole Kidman in Moulin Rouge.
It's amazing, isn't it? The entire city looks like Ratatouille.
And we're supposed to believe that she was obsessed with Gossip Girl and wanted to be Serena van der Woodsen when she was clearly Blair.
Because my friends and I were obsessed with Gossip Girl. We all wanted to be Serena van der Woodsen in her gorgeous, crazy expensive couture.
I can't believe it was done.
What?
Gossip Girl. We watched the entire series to find out. It's done.
And she wants everyone to like her and yet continues to do things that she knows annoys people. It's ridiculous. I need Lily Collins to redeem herself with an Audrey Hepburn biopic pronto, because this show isn't doing her career any favors. One-dimensional side characters. The only characters I genuinely found compelling were Mindy and Sylvie. They had interesting backstories, goals, senses of humor, and had a life outside of Emily. Whereas many other characters, like Gabrielle, seemed to just be an attractive plot device to help get Emily out of trouble and appear whenever she needs them to. Her shower's broken and she can't speak to the plumber? Grab Gabrielle from downstairs. Can't get into the restaurant she needs to? Go to Gabrielle's instead and have him make a Michelin-level meal. Lost an actress and a $2 million watch? Drag Gabrielle to the club and have him help her. This man is supposed to be a chef and yet never seems to be at work, or at the very least paying attention to his customers. Gabrielle, your restaurant is going to go out of business. Coincidences and cliches. Want to play a drinking game while watching Emily in Paris? Take a shot every time Emily meets an attractive French man who finds her irresistible, while also coincidentally being able to speak English. Just kidding, you'd probably get alcohol poisoning.
Maybe you want to have a drink tonight?
I have a boyfriend.
In Paris?
In Chicago.
So you don't have a boyfriend in Paris?
Did my gift please you the other day?
Oh, yes, it was very thoughtful, but, no, it was unnecessary.
Oh, not at all.
And a tad inappropriate.
Huh. According to whom?
Me. Excuse me?
Like American pussy.
And I'd really like to go home now.
Please tell me we'll see each other again tonight.
Oh. Okay, sure. You said a drink.
And I meant it.
The entire show is just a bunch of cliches and coincidences strung together in an attempt to create a cohesive storyline. And spoiler alert, it is not well done. There's absolutely nothing in this show that you haven't seen before. And honestly, that's what's most disappointing, because there was definitely potential for a truly interesting story that detailed the complexities of trying to find your footing in a new city. Even Sex and the City, with all of its faults, had episodes that actually brought up interesting points about society. The only somewhat surprising moment in the entirety of Emily in Paris is the reveal that Gabrielle had a girlfriend, but that's because it quite literally came out of nowhere. She was never mentioned or even seen until the episode she needs to exist.
Here?
Yeah, no, the food's fabulous.
I know, the chef is my boyfriend.
Gabrielle?
Yes. Do you know him?
Not really. He lives in the apartment right below me, which is right down the street from the flower market where you and I met.
I'm just grabbing some croissant for Gabriel. I can never get him out of bed in the morning.
Oh, sleepyhead.
Why not have her and Emily befriend each other at least one episode earlier? It would have made that plot point at least a little more interesting. We're still stereotyping in 2020. The entire premise of the show is based around Emily having trouble fitting in, but the French are the ones with the problem, not the obnoxious American in Paris.
Maybe I'm just not cut out for this city. You know, I thought it was going to be an adventure.
And it is.
6 people, 9 p.m., 8:11.
Wonderful. We'll see you November 8th. You booked the 8th of November. This is the 11th of August.
Oh my God. You reversed the dates.
No, you reverse the dates.
Okay, but could you just...
Ah, désolé, c'est pas possible.
But it's just like really important.
Bonsoir, madame.
Your language is seriously effed up.
The French are rude, they're lazy, they're sexist, they're horn dogs, they're ignorant. The show honestly feels like weird anti-French propaganda. It's like it was written by someone who went to Paris for 1 week back in the 90s and thought to themselves, wow, this place is beautiful, but its people really suck.
Of course I love Paris. And the food is so delicious. The fashion, so chic. The lights, so magical. But the people, so mean.
I mean, they can't all be mean.
Oh, yes they can.
I'm not at all surprised that French critics have hated this series. In the entire show, there are only 2 major characters who aren't white, Mindy Chen and Julian. Mindy Chen is played by Korean-American actress Ashley Park. And while I love Ashley as Gretchen in Mean Girls the musical, I have a lot of problems with this character. It felt like an easy way for them to exhibit negative stereotypes about Asians through the mouth of an Asian, just so no one could call them out for it.
Sushi safe, or anywhere that's Asian. Although if she's mad enough, a chopstick can puncture skin. Don't ask how I know that. You can't punish people for their thoughts. I'm from China. We've tried. Chinese people are mean behind your back. French people, mean to your face. I had my shot and I blew it.
No, you get more than one shot, Mindy.
In China, you only get one kid.
Same for Julian, played by Samuel Arnold. He's a black gay man who works with Emily, and his entire shtick is that he's sassy. No other traits whatsoever, because I guess TV shows haven't learned that there's more to being gay than being sassy.
I think I like you. I saw them. Bonsoir et bonne chance.
Wait. Do you think Sylvie knows?
I don't plan to be around to find out.
I can't even see these characters as a diversity win. It just feels like they're doing the bare minimum. The fact that they're the only non-white characters is absolutely ridiculous when you consider how diverse Paris is. We couldn't give Emily a few non-white love interests? No? Okay. The clothes. Alright, this is probably what you wanted to hear me talk about. If you're familiar with this channel, then you know I love fashion. So I was genuinely excited for the show to come out and to get to see some fresh style inspiration and memorable looks. But boy oh boy, was I disappointed. The costumes in the show were styled by Patricia Field, the same mind behind the outfits in Sex and the City and The Devil Wears Prada. But I don't see any of the outfits from Emily in Paris influencing any fashion trends. Besides many of the outfits looking like they're straight out of a 2011 episode of Gossip Girl, they're also painful to look at. This pink on pink on pink outfit is burned into my corneas. Many of the outfits worn by the title character, Emily, are some of the worst. People compared her looks to Harper Finkle's from Wizards of Waverly Place, but they actually reminded me of the outfits Emilia Clarke wears in Me Before You, but somehow worse. The biggest problem to me isn't even that they look bad, which many characters actually point out in the show.
Any tips on what to wear?
Not that.
Sorry, I don't speak French. American? Yes. But did you think that I was French? Honestly, no, I was being polite. You look American.
Hey, you said we had to wear all black.
I said you had to.
It's that they make no sense. Emily isn't meant to be incredibly wealthy or even have a background in fashion, and yet she's wearing multiple pairs of Louboutins and has a closet full of Chanel? I don't think so. Let's just do a quick little tally of all the Chanel Emily wears. If you're wondering why I'm giving Emily's outfit such a hard time, it's really quite simple. There was potential. So many of her outfits could have gotten the "she's American" point across while still being fashion forward instead of fashion backward, especially since we see Camille and Sylvie wearing gorgeous outfits. Here, let's take a look at some of Sylvie's. I rarely see older women in TV shows who get to exude so much sexual charisma and get to dress this stylishly, and while I greatly appreciated it, it actually left me wondering why Emily had to look so horrendous in comparison. Camille, while overdone and busy in typical Patricia Field fashion, still has some great French girl style moments. Pierre Cadeau, a fashion designer in the world of the show, is supposed to have this awesome revolutionary fashion moment, but his show winds up being a knockoff of the Victor and Rolf Spring-Summer 2019 Haute Couture collection. And no, it doesn't feel like an ode to it. More like an easy way to create a supposedly fashionable moment that the average Emily in Paris viewer wouldn't recognize. They also look weirdly cheap. If you've watched me review things before, then you know that I usually try to find something redeemable and positive. But I really struggled with Emily in Paris. I don't see myself ever rewatching it, even as background noise, which is a shame because I think the cast was doing their best with what they were given. If it's renewed for a second season, good for them and good for the people who enjoyed it. I just won't be watching it. What were your thoughts on Emily in Paris? Did you love it or hate it? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!